On January 20, 2025, the spotlight shifted in a way no one anticipated. Donald Trump took the oath of office for his second term, but it wasn't just the president who commanded attention, it was also his youngest son, Barron Trump. Towering at an astonishing 6 feet 9 inches and exuding a newfound confidence, Barron's unexpected transformation left the crowd in awe and brought his parents to tears. Melania Trump stood beside him, visibly moved by his remarkable journey. This moment was more than symbolic, it marked the emergence of a young man ready to step into his own. A glimpse into Barron's early life reveals how his presence captivated everyone. For Melania Trump, the sight of her youngest son standing tall beside his father brought tears to her eyes. She had shielded Barron from the public eye for much of his life, dedicating herself to creating a stable and grounded environment amid the chaos of fame and scrutiny. Yet seeing him now, a poised, self-assured young man, was a reminder of how far he had come and how his transformation was the culmination of years of dedication and care. Barron Trump was born into a world of luxury and privilege few could imagine. As the youngest son of Donald Trump and Melania Trump, his early years unfolded in the iconic Trump Tower penthouse, a sprawling residence of marble floors, gold-plated accents, and panoramic views of Manhattan. While his siblings were already adults pursuing careers in business or public life, Barron enjoyed a childhood that was a mix of opulence and careful guidance. But behind the glitz and glamour, it was Melania's deliberate approach to parenting that planted the seeds for the confident young man we see today. From the beginning, Melania was determined to shield Barron from the chaos of public scrutiny. Unlike Donald, whose life was defined by media attention and bold statements, Melania focused on creating a stable, nurturing environment for her son. She embraced a hands-on parenting style. She taught him discipline, independence, and the importance of staying grounded despite their extravagant surroundings. Melania often spoke about instilling traditional values in Barron. "I want him to grow up as his own person, with his own yes and no." Barron's childhood milestones reflected Melania's influence. He was fluent in Slovenian by the time he started school. This is evidence of his mother's effort to connect him to her cultural roots. Melania also encouraged creativity. This is evidenced by Barron's love for playing drums as a young boy. Melania took pride in his intelligence and energy, calling him a very strong and smart boy who loved to learn. Despite the wealth and privilege that surrounded him, Barron's early life had its fair share of challenges. Being Donald Trump's youngest son meant living in the shadow of one of the most polarizing figures in modern American history. Even as a young child, he became a target of media speculation and public commentary. To protect him, Melania avoided exposing Barron to unnecessary media attention. She insisted on maintaining a semblance of normalcy and even delayed their move to the White House in 2017 so Barron could finish the school year in New York. For Barron, life in Trump Tower was both glamorous and isolating. While his older siblings, Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric, were deeply involved in the Trump organization, Barron's world revolved around his private school education, hobbies, and time spent with his mother. Donald's busy schedule left much of the day-to-day parenting to Melania. "She's an unbelievable mother," Donald once said. Barron's sheltered upbringing occasionally intersected with his father's celebrity status. Early television appearances revealed a boy who was playful and curious. As Barron grew, his reserved nature became increasingly apparent. While other Trump family members were eager to embrace the limelight, Barron remained distant from the chaos of press conferences and campaign rallies. Melania's influence also extended to his schooling. She prioritized private, rigorous institutions that offered a controlled environment. In interviews, Melania emphasized her dedication to Barron's education. "His studies are my #1 priority." By all accounts, Barron was an intelligent and thoughtful child, but he also inherited his father's boldness in certain ways. His towering height began to draw attention early, and even as a young boy, Donald referred to him as vicious, in a playful nod to his spirited personality. This juxtaposition of shyness and strength defined much of Barron's early years. Being Donald Trump's youngest son undoubtedly shaped Barron's life in ways he likely didn't understand at the time. The combination of privilege, scrutiny, and high expectations meant he had to navigate challenges most children never face. Yet under Melania's watchful eye, Barron began to develop into a quiet and observant, yet strong and determined young man, hinting at the poised and confident individual he was destined to become. The seeds of Barron's eventual transformation were planted in these early years. His reserved demeanor and the foundation of values instilled by his mother hinted at the poised and confident individual he would later become. As Melania once said, "Raising a child is the most important job I will ever have." Little did anyone know these formative years in Trump Tower would serve as the quiet prelude to a stunning debut that would leave even Donald and Melania Trump in tears. What followed during the family's move to Washington would bring new challenges and changes that continued to shape Barron's extraordinary journey into the poised young man who now stands by his father's side. Challenges growing up in the spotlight. Barron Trump's life took a dramatic turn in 2017 when his father became the 45th President of the United States. The move from the comfort of Trump Tower to the White House was not just a change of address, it was a shift into the intense scrutiny of public life. At just 10 years old, Barron's private world was replaced by the glare of media attention, political debates, and constant public interest in everything from his appearance to his behavior. This transformation, which played out on one of the world's largest stages, became another defining chapter in Barron's remarkable journey. The transition wasn't easy for a boy who had spent his early years shielded from the public eye. The first major challenge Barron faced in the spotlight was the relentless commentary about his appearance and demeanor. His reserved nature was often misinterpreted, and this sparked unfounded rumors and harsh criticism. One particularly painful episode occurred shortly after Donald Trump's inauguration. A Saturday Night Live writer posted a cruel tweet suggesting that Barron might become a homeschool shooter, a comment that caused an uproar. Although the tweet was deleted, the damage was done. The incident highlighted the extent to which even a child was not spared from public ridicule in the polarizing political environment surrounding his father. The scrutiny didn't stop there. Barron became the subject of intense media speculation when a viral video in 2016 suggested he might have autism. The video was shared by comedian Rosie O'Donnell during an ongoing feud with Donald Trump and pointed to his behavior at public events as evidence. Melania Trump responded swiftly. She took legal action to have the video removed and publicly condemned the attempt to use her son as a pawn in a political feud. "There's absolutely nothing wrong with autism," she said, "but this is a private matter and an unfounded claim." Despite her efforts, the rumors persisted, and this led to real-life bullying and online harassment. The pressure on Barron extended beyond the media. Life at the White House came with its own set of challenges. He started attending St. Andrew's Episcopal School in Maryland. Suddenly, Barron had to navigate the complexities of being both a student and the president's son. Security measures, including Secret Service protection, made it impossible for him to blend in with his peers. Fellow students recalled his reserved nature and noted that while he was polite and sociable, he often kept to himself. Adding to the difficulty were constant public critiques of his choices. Even his clothing became a target. When Barron was photographed wearing casual attire while accompanying his parents, some commentators criticized him for not dressing presidential. Such remarks, trivial as they might seem, added to the relentless scrutiny that made it difficult for Barron to feel like a normal child. Throughout these challenges, Melania remained a steadfast advocate for her son. Her Be Best campaign, aimed at promoting children's well-being and addressing cyberbullying, was inspired in part by her desire to create a better environment for Barron. She emphasized the importance of kindness and respect, and she often spoke about the need to protect children from the harmful effects of public criticism. "No child should ever feel frightened, bullied, or isolated," she said. But despite her best efforts, the Trump family's high-profile status meant that Barron could never fully escape the challenges of growing up in the public eye. Rumors about his parents' marriage, Donald Trump's controversial presidency, and even threats against the family added to the weight he carried. In 2023, a woman was arrested for sending a letter threatening to harm both Donald and Barron Trump, a chilling reminder of the dangers that came with their prominence. For Donald and Melania, these moments served as stark evidence of the challenges Barron had to endure, making his eventual transformation all the more poignant. The turning point, Barron's teenage years. Barron Trump's teenage years were marked by a delicate balance between the pressures of public scrutiny and the private world his family worked tirelessly to preserve. After his father left the White House in 2021, Barron's life shifted yet again as the family relocated to Florida. He enrolled at Oxbridge Academy in West Palm Beach, and Barron found himself in a new environment that offered its own set of opportunities and challenges. At Oxbridge, Barron remained true to his reserved nature. Classmates described him as polite but private, someone who preferred quiet conversations to the spotlight of school events. He rarely attended dances, football games, or other social gatherings. Barron chose instead to focus on his studies and personal interests. Despite his low profile, Barron's towering height made him impossible to ignore. By the time he was 16, he had grown to an impressive 6 feet 7 inches. His presence was commanding, but his demeanor remained modest. As the son of a former president, security was a constant presence. Secret Service agents accompanied him to and from school, a necessity that set him apart from his peers. Even within the school, additional measures were taken to ensure his safety and privacy. For instance, he was listed under a pseudonym in school records to protect him from potential cyber threats. While these precautions were essential, they were also a constant reminder of the extraordinary circumstances surrounding his life. During this time, Barron carved out a space for himself through his personal interests. Soccer became a central part of his life. The beautiful game offered a sense of normalcy amidst the complexities of his world. He played for youth teams during his time in Washington and continued his involvement with the sport after moving to Florida. Gaming was another passion that captured Barron's attention. As a teenager, he became known among his close circle for his love of technology and video games. This interest allowed him to connect with friends and offered a creative escape from the pressures of his public life. His fascination with technology hinted at a curious and innovative mind, qualities that would later shape his approach to adulthood. Also in this period, rare glimpses of Barron in public often became the subject of intense speculation. Whether it was his height, his quiet composure, or his resemblance to his father, the media couldn't resist trying to piece together the story of Donald Trump's youngest son. However, Barron remained largely unaffected by the attention. As Barron entered his later teenage years, his transformation began to take shape. Those close to him noticed subtle changes in his demeanor. He started to exude a quiet confidence, a surefire sign that he was beginning to embrace his identity while navigating the unique pressures of being a Trump. Though he remained reserved in public, some moments hinted at the poised young man he was becoming. One such incident came during his father's 2024 presidential campaign. For the first time, Barron took on an active role. He advised Donald Trump on how to connect with younger voters. Barron recommended appearances on popular podcasts and online platforms, demonstrating a keen understanding of modern media and its influence on his generation. While his contributions remained behind the scenes, they were pivotal in shaping the campaign's outreach strategy. Barron's involvement revealed his intelligence and ability to adapt. This newfound confidence extended to his personal life as well. As he approached adulthood, Barron began to show signs of stepping out from the shadows of his family. His interactions with classmates became more frequent, and his natural sense of humor endeared him to those who got to know him. While still guarded in many ways, Barron's willingness to engage with others signaled a shift in his approach to life. By the time Barron graduated from Oxbridge Academy in 2024, he had grown into a young man who was both grounded and ambitious. His reserved nature had evolved into a quiet strength, and his towering height and polished demeanor made him stand out in any crowd. Though he was still discovering his path, it was clear that he was ready to embrace the next chapter of his life. Little did the world know, these experiences were quietly preparing him for a moment that would command the attention of millions and solidify his transformation into the confident individual who stood tall beside his father at the 2025 inauguration. The moment that stole the spotlight. Donald Trump's 2025 inauguration was meant to mark the beginning of his second term as President of the United States. But the day unexpectedly became a defining moment for his youngest son, Barron Trump. His transformation from a reserved teenager into a poised young man was on full display, and it was impossible to ignore the quiet confidence he exuded as he joined his family for the historic event. Both Donald and Melania were seen shedding quiet tears of pride. Barron's polished appearance was the first thing to catch the public's attention. He was dressed in a perfectly tailored navy suit paired with a crisp white shirt and a sleek red tie. Barron looked every bit the part of a composed and mature adult. His hairstyle, a slick-back, refined look reminiscent of his older brothers Donald Jr. and Eric, further emphasized his transformation. The once private boy now had the air of someone ready to step into his own. He stood tall and composed amidst the ceremonial grandeur of the day. As the Trump family took their places during the inaugural proceedings, all eyes seemed to gravitate toward Barron. His height was both commanding and symbolic of the attention he now commanded. Even in moments of stillness, he seemed to effortlessly hold the audience's gaze. The moment that stole the spotlight came when Donald Trump introduced his family during his speech. When he turned to Barron, the newly elected president couldn't resist making a light-hearted comment that drew laughter and applause from the crowd. "I have a very tall son named Barron," Donald quipped. "Has anyone ever heard of him?" The audience erupted in cheers. Barron was momentarily caught off guard but broke into a shy smile before raising his hand in acknowledgement. But it wasn't just his father's words that charmed the crowd, it was Barron's own response. As the cheers grew louder, he leaned forward slightly and cupped his hand to his ear, encouraging the audience to cheer even more. The gesture was reminiscent of his father's own crowd-rousing tactics and showed a playful but composed side of Barron that few had seen before. The crowd responded with chants of "Barron! Barron!" His parents were visibly moved. Barron's interactions extended beyond the podium. During the inaugural events, he was seen graciously shaking hands with various dignitaries, including Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Joe Biden. These moments left a lasting impression. His politeness and maturity were evident, and his gestures of respect stood out in a day filled with ceremony and tradition. Observers noted how seamlessly Barron handled the attention, a far cry from the shy child seen at Donald Trump's first inauguration in 2017. Back then, he had appeared reserved and uncertain. Now, he embraced the moment with a calm confidence that hinted at his growth over the years. Even his body language spoke volumes. During the inaugural parade, Barron walked alongside his family and waved to the crowd with ease. At one point, he mimicked one of his father's signature gestures, raising his fist in a show of solidarity with the cheering onlookers. It was a moment that encapsulated his transformation, a subtle nod to the family legacy while still making the gesture his own. Social media lit up with commentary about his transformation. "Barron Trump is the future of the Trump dynasty," some users said. For Melania Trump, the moment was especially emotional. She stood beside her son and appeared visibly moved as the crowd chanted his name. Having devoted much of her life to protecting Barron from the public eye, this moment must have felt like a culmination of her efforts to guide him through the challenges of growing up in such a high-profile family. It was clear to all in attendance that Barron Trump's unexpected transformation was not just a personal milestone, it was also a symbol of the next chapter for the Trump family. The moment left Donald and Melania, and the world, in awe of the man he is becoming. Emotional reflections from Donald and Melania. Watching their youngest son blossom into adulthood has been an emotional journey for Donald and Melania Trump. Over the years, they've witnessed his transformation from a quiet, shy boy into a poised and confident young man. This growth has brought a bittersweet realization: their youngest child is no longer the boy they worked so hard to protect, he is now a young adult ready to take on the world on his own terms. For Melania Trump, Barron's journey is deeply personal. From the moment he was born, she took it upon herself to shield him from the pressures of being a Trump. "Raising Barron has been the most important role in my life," she once said. Her devotion to her son was evident in the sacrifices she made. Now, as Barron steps into adulthood, Melania reflects on the journey with both pride and a touch of melancholy. She often speaks of the values she worked hard to instill in him: respect, discipline, and independence. Those lessons are evident in Barron's quiet confidence and thoughtful demeanor. But as Melania watches him take those first steps into independence, she can't help but feel the pang of letting go. "Every parent experiences this moment," she says. "You want your child to succeed and grow, but it's hard to watch them step away. Barron has always been my focus, and now I must trust that he's ready to stand on his own." While she remains a source of unwavering support, Melania acknowledges that her role in his life is shifting. Her once hands-on approach is giving way to a new dynamic, one where she guides from afar while allowing Barron to make his own decisions. Donald Trump's reflections on Barron's growth are equally emotional, but he expresses them in his characteristic style. Donald has always had a softer side when it comes to his youngest son. He frequently speaks with pride about Barron's intelligence and potential, and he often marvels at his maturity and ability to navigate the complexities of their family's high-profile life. "Barron's got a great head on his shoulders," Donald remarked during a recent interview. "He's smart, he's strong, and he's got a unique way of looking at things. Honestly, he amazes me sometimes." Donald has often been vocal about his hopes for Barron's future. He hints at the possibility of Barron taking on a leadership role within the Trump legacy, but is equally supportive of Barron forging his own way, whether in business, politics, or another field altogether. "He doesn't have to follow anyone's footsteps," Donald said. "He's got his own ideas and talents, and I know he's going to make a name for himself." As Barron grows more independent, both Donald and Melania are adjusting to their evolving roles as parents. For Melania, this means stepping back and allowing Barron to take control of his life while remaining a steady source of guidance. For Donald, it's an opportunity to support his son's ambitions, whatever they may be, while celebrating the young man he has become. Barron's journey has also brought the Trump family closer in many ways. His transformation has served as a reminder of the importance of resilience and unity, values that Donald and Melania have worked to uphold despite the challenges of public life. As he steps into the adult world as a completely autonomous young man. For now, we're done. Catch you in the next video.